Welcome to another Secret Influence TV interview. I'm Nick Ronald, and I'm a copywriter and an author, and also I run the Secret Influence TV channel where I share tips on how to be an influencer and also interview other people who are influencers in some way, because I believe in life, if you can't influence, then the life will influence you. Everyone needs to be able to influence others to get the message across, to get people to listen to them, to grow their business, to help them grow, build up their career, whatever area of their life. Influencing is a positive skill. So on that note, today I'm interviewing Bernice Langley, who is the author of a book called Gales of Change. So welcome, Bernice, to Secret Influence TV.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having me today.
So, I mean, do you have your book with you? Can you show it?
Yes.
Great. Well, so let's start. Let's ask about the book. What prompted you to write the book? Because it's your first book, isn't it? I believe.
Yes. During the pandemic, we were trying to organize to start our building project for the school in Sierra Leone. The BCC Academy is a primary school and a healthcare center for pregnant women with their newborn babies. So when the pandemic came, it was like a shock to the system, and we have already completed about 70 to 80 application forms to donor, and everything was canceled. Wow. So I started thinking with my team, I'm like, how can we raise funds? So I started reinventing myself. It was so crazy. I was thinking about so many things. What can I sell so I can make money? What can I do? And I started, I have this kind of habit where I talk to myself. Some people think it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And I say, I can write a book about myself, but what am I going to write? What am I going to say? So I said, oh, okay. I can write about my autobiography, about where I started, past, present, future. And at some point I was like, oh, there are some things I don't want people to know about me, all those kind of discussion. So I went back to my team. I said, I'm going to write a book. And everybody was like, shocked. So they said, what are you going to say? I said, in fact, I'm going to write 2 books. So I'm going to write one about my autobiography, and then the other one about autism. That's my specialty. I say, when people read about those things, we'll be able to raise fund as well.
Okay. So you plan to write. So you write a second book, which will be on autism. That's your plan. To sum up, so for people who haven't, aware what your book's about, sum up what it's about. The Gale of Change.
My book is about a gale. A gale is like an outburst, a storm, which is similar to like a force. And I believe my parents and myself were a gale of change in Sierra Leone, where my parents are strong believers of education, and they believe educating children and young people empower, develop the community, bring a lot of change and development. So all of us have impacted Sierra Leone, especially with the children and young people. I met my parents doing that. My mom is over 70. She's still reading story and teaching children at home. She'll call them in the street. Tell me about your school. Can you spell this? Can you spell that? Can you read? I'm saying, Mom, leave them alone. He said, no, they should be learning. You don't have people lovely to teach them. Let them come out, teach them. So that's the kind of parent I am. So
okay, that's lovely. So you were born in Sierra Leone. When did you leave, and sort of why did you leave there to come to UK?
I was born in Sierra Leone, and I left Sierra Leone when I was 21 to study catering, to further my education in catering in the UK.
Okay.
And I later changed my career into nursing, and then I end up into autism becoming a specialist in autism.
Okay. And the charity you set up, the WCC, tell me a bit about that. How, I mean, when did you set that up, and what does the WCC stand for to start?
WCC stand for World Changing Center. I used to work with children who have medical needs in the UK, and I started thinking how I can help my community, because my dad will always say, when thou hast converted, strengthen thy brethren. So my parents are strong believers, and they believe that when you've educated yourself, you should come back and help others. So, and during the war in Sierra Leone, it started in 1991, the civil war, and end 2002. I watched this movie called, what's the name of this movie now? There's this movie about the war in Sierra Leone. And when I finished watching that movie, I could not sleep. Right. For 20 minutes, I watched the movie and I stopped. I couldn't watch it. And I was thinking, wow, this war has really changed the dynamics in my country. So I could not find my parents. I could not find anybody for like 3 months or so. Right. The movie is called Blood Diamond.
Okay, and yes.
Yeah, so it tells us a lot. Blood Diamond tells us how the war started with young people, with the army, the military, the children, how they became war soldiers. They were not given food. They were not given medicine. They were all taking drugs. And so it was crazy, and I could not rest. I said, I have to do something. I think this is where WCC was back. And yeah, and I said, I need to go and see what was happening after the war. So that's how I started doing.
When did you set up the charity then? Was that how long has it been?
I set it up. I registered in 2010, but we started in 2007. Okay.
And so the war finished, I think it's in 2002. So there's a lot of knock-on problems still in Sierra Leone as a result of a war. So is that some of the things that you talk about in your book, and you attempt to sort of tackle and address? Are they problems sort of that are still caused by the war that time, would you say, or is that fair?
I think the civil war was caused by a lot of issues, politics, civilians, so there was a lot of conflict. My own take was looking at the education before and after the war. I found out after the war we had the Ebola, the epidemic, and then after that we have the mudslide. So the whole education system, and now the pandemic COVID-19, so the whole education system has collapsed, because as soon as they're trying to recover, move a step further, something else is happening. Sure. And these children lack so much educational resources. You have one teacher per 120 children. Wow. Yeah, and where in the UK you have 18 to 30 children per teacher. My cousin worked as a teacher as well. Sure. So one day she videoed the class, and I saw the class of over 100 children with her alone. Children, yeah. Yeah, she has high blood pressure. I said, what are you doing with all those children? How are you teaching them? So I became very curious. I'm like, oh no, I cannot do that.
That's a lot of children to manage. A lot of children to keep attention on. So would you talk about education quite a lot, and obviously the children. Do you think education is one of the most important ways to change society and improve society, starting with that, educating, giving the children a good education? Is that one of the, is that something?
Yes, I believe in every society, education elevates poverty. Education is the main key, because when you educate, you develop the community, you develop young people, you have jobs, empowerment, you enhance people, crisis and diseases, you reduce them through education. And education is our strong point at WCC, so I don't let go of it. I follow it. I follow the children. So I just believe, because I had that opportunity when I was growing up, and I had a very good foundation with my parents. And I also wrote in my book, when I was growing up, I lost my speech and I couldn't walk.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So, but because of the kind of parents I have, they nurtured me, they pushed me, they did everything they have to do to make me achieve. So that's why I'm going back to do the same thing to these children who don't have parents, who have lost their parents and they don't have the opportunity.
So do your parents live in Sierra Leone, or do they live in the UK? Where do they?
My dad passed. My mom is still in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And then do you go back much to Sierra Leone?
I do go to Sierra Leone. Yes, I go every year, but because of the pandemic, I haven't been. But I'm going very soon. So. Okay.
And just a bit more about your charity, the World Changing Centre. What's the sort of main aims of it? What does it aim to do in Sierra Leone?
We provide education, healthcare, and sanitation, because these are the main objective, and these are things that are very, very demanding in Sierra Leone. So,
are there any other groups in Sierra Leone you work with? How do you? 'Cause it must be quite hard, I think, to go to any country, try to go to any other country and then start trying to make a difference. How do you go about it? Do you have contacts there, or do you have any groups you work with? How?
I have the Street Children organization. They have a St. Joseph Secondary School, Red Cross. So I have a few of my friends in America, other countries in the UK as well, all over Europe, who runs charity. So we sometimes, and we have another disabled foundation as well. So we have a lot of charities among our communities where we interlink and we interact. Sometimes we share our challenges, and that makes it easier a little bit to say, okay, well, it happened to me, it happened to you, so let's just help them.
Okay, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's obviously strikes me that that there's a lot of charities and organisations that do similar things, and the way it's all getting in touch and working alongside the ones that have the same aims at times. Would you with your book, who's the intended audience? Who's your book? Who do you ideally try and get your book in front of? Who do you like? Who's the ideal sort of readers for your book? Who's the intended audience?
Well, the ideal readers for my book are young people, because I think they have a huge drive when it comes to their vision and their talent. They want to achieve so much, but it's how going around about it. And sometimes they think you have to have money for you to be able to do things like this. So I try to reach out to them. I try to support them. I say, you don't need money. You just need to be an attractive person. You need to attract people. You have to have a beautiful heart, a beautiful smile. You are very happy in what you are doing. You have passion in what you're doing. Then the people out there will come and develop and build and support your vision. So it's not about money, it's about attraction. You have to be attractive first.
Okay. That's a good sort of message there. I think there is in society, especially the West, there is a sort of money solves everything, and money is people aim for financial, around financial freedom and wealth, but I think you are so right. I think that can give a wrong message sometimes to young people and children to get that sort of that mindset. So certainly, there are other things that I think children, young people should be aiming for in life. With Sierra Leone, I mean, do you think there needs to be more global awareness of some of the struggles of Sierra Leone? Because we don't generally hear much in the news about it, and there's like I think a lot of other countries that there's sort of struggles and these sort of challenges going on, and we don't know about unless people like yourself raise them. Do you think there needs to be more global awareness of what's happening in Sierra Leone at the moment?
Yes, I think there should be a lot more, especially when it comes to education, healthcare, because those are the two for me that are really sanitation. We have a choice. We normally go out and do things to help with the sanitation. But if your health or your education, which is priority number one, if it's not attended to, or you don't have a good environment or foundation, there's a problem. There's a huge problem. And even with the mortality rates, most of these children, they die before they're 1 year of age.
Right.
And
Really,
it's so sad,
really
because most of their parents, like, again, I was talking about the early marriage, teenage pregnancy,
right.
and child labor. These
Okay.
are one of the things that are stopping the children from achieving and educating in our culture,
Right. Would
because they
you
get married very early.
I mean, is it a is it a cultural issue, or is it sort of more of a bit of a sort of a legal, in a sense that the politicians should be doing more to to change things, or a bit of both? Where do you think it really sort of?
It's a cultural thing, which has been passed on, where a lot of these young women, they marry at age 15, close
Right.
age 16, where we have at least 18% of them married at that age 16 upwards.
Okay.
Then 44% of them married at 18. So they don't see the value of education when they get married, because they will still pass on the same thing to their children and say,
Sure.
what's
Of course.
education? At the end of the day, you're going to get married and have children. So
Yes.
yeah, and so that's why they allow the boys to go to school instead of the girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's changing now.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, that's good to hear. It just shows I mean, how we pass our sort of beliefs down, often from our parents, we sort of accept it almost. I think, if our other generations be doing things a certain way, then then we can pass it down. I think in some ways we take it for granted, because it's part of our culture. It's part of I think it's only when sometimes someone outside sort of challenges it, and shows alternate ways of doing things, that things then end up changing. Would you like to share? There's some key messages that you'd like to share, that you include in your book. Some key points you'd like to get across and share.
Well, I want people to understand why young children in Africa, just like I mentioned, early marriage, the child labor, and the teenage pregnancy. A lot of them during the epidemic, the Ebola, a lot of them could not go to school when they got pregnant, when they went back. Okay. So because our culture does not accept pregnant women to go to school. Right. So they think when you're pregnant, you should stay at home. It's like you're a mother. But in the West, it's a kind of mixed culture where as long as you're going to achieve, that's fine. So we are trying to change that. And when it comes to child labor, we went to, one of our trustees went a few weeks ago. When he came back, he said, there's still child labor, because I saw one of these children carrying stuff up their head to go sell. And she looked so tired. And I asked her, I said, where is your mom? He said, my mom is at home. And I said, your mom is at home and you are selling. So you see, the parents will sit down sometimes, right. Not all of them, whilst the child go and labor, and they will not allow them to go to school. Right. So this is where that pattern comes from.
Okay.
But we are trying to break it. World Changing Center is trying to break it. We go to the community, we talk to the parents, we encourage them. We say it's a free library, free education. We're going to help your child. Your child needs to read. So I
guess a lot of what you do is always challenging the way things are. Saying, well, this is what's happening at the moment, but if you know, you could you could do it this other way. You know, why challenge it, because I think if you don't challenge behavior, or in a way, in a society, then they'll just carry on. It needs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is a challenge. Yes. What would you like people to do after they've read your book? Is there something you want them to some action to take, or I'm sure it's how it's quite obviously.
Yes, I would like people to please support our charity, World Changing Center, to donate any amount. It's not too small for us. We have a brick campaign which we are running, which start from £10. The school and the health center, we're going to use bricks because it's very cool and it's very reasonable. So we're using the bricks to build the school.
Okay.
The school is for primary school children, and we have a specialist unit there, which I am going to run for autistic children and disabled children.
Okay.
So I have a team of people we're gonna go with to help us. And with the healthcare center is for pregnant women and their newborn baby. Normally within that 100 days when the child is born, is very critical because of lack of education. Like I said, the parents don't know what to do with the child, with the baby, or themselves. So we're gonna be having a lot of education, and we really need your support. If you can donate to World Changing Center, www.worldchangingcenter.org, and also your expertise. You can provide your expertise, online training. You can donate books, you can donate medical equipment, anything to do with school and healthcare center.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds there's lots of ways people can help. And just to repeat the website again, it was
www.worldchangingcenter.org.
Worldchangingcenter.org. Great. Let me think. What other charities you touched on? What other charities, organisations you work with? Can you sort of remind me again of some of the names of?
We used to work with Red Cross. They normally support us. We have the Street Children. We have the Disability Foundation as well, one of my friends. And we have some other schools, some of my friends who run school charity there as well. So I normally get information from them. So,
and with your obviously strong interest in autism, is that something that's but you brought into, for example, your work in Sierra Leone? Because I mean, obviously there are autistic children, people everywhere around the world. So is that something you've worked with autistic people, people as well in helping in Sierra Leone? Is that something, or are you looking to do?
I study mental health and learning disability here in the UK, and then I switch into autism because I used to work a lot in the community for Greenwich Primary Care Trust. I used to do a lot of research with them, and I end up working with their team. So that's how I came around working with autism. And also my son had speech delay, which was the first thing that challenged me. And speech delay is part of the spectrum for autism, but my son was not autistic. So again, we don't stimulate our children enough in our culture, which I got to understand. So I have to stimulate him. I have to learn everything. And now he has finished university, is working as an investor.
Okay, great. So just now it leads on my question about your next book, because tell me what the book's about and what the name of the book is, if you decided.
Well, the book Autism and Ethnicity is through the lens of the ethnic minority, which is the BAME. The B is Black, Asian, ethnic minority. That's the short form of it. I've worked with a lot of parents in the community and in the schools. I found out I used to focus more on the children, but one day I found out that it was the parents that I need to concentrate on to teach, so they can support their children. And that was an eye-opener for me. I went like, wow, I finally got it. And when we start changing the parents' attitude towards the condition, I found out a lot of the children got better, because it's like what you have that's what you give to your child. And a lot of them don't understand about autism,
Sure.
and they think they're in that denial mode where they're like,
Okay.
oh, because I'm from this culture, it doesn't happen. That stereotype, the taboo, all these things. So
Sure.
there's a lot of information in that book. We're going to be talking about stories from different culture, African culture. We're going to talk about cross culture as well. We're going to talk about food and diet. So
Wow,
there's
great.
a lot.
So it'll be like a really good resource for people who.
Yes, yes.
And when do you plan to? When do you plan to sort of launch a book? When do you plan to? Do you have a sort of time frame?
Well, I think my target is end of the year, December.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, that's my target. So we've put all the contents together now, and we're still working on it. But
Okay.
I'm so busy with work. I'm in between work and the books, so it's kind of.
Well, I'll have to get
challenging.
you. Well, maybe I'll have to get you back on the channel for another interview about your next book when it's ready.
Okay.
So just a few questions about your experiences of writing the book, because it was your first one, The Gale of Change. Did you find you had to be? Did you because obviously when you're working and then you try and write a book, it's sort of managing your time can be a challenge. When did you write it? Did you write it the weekends or the evenings? How did you approach it?
Okay. We have 30,000 words. That was the target.
Okay.
And what I have done is over the years, we've got a lot of proposals, which we've done research. We've done so much survey about WCC. So
Okay.
I used to write things down, and I have to do all those collection of information, put them together, and then I wrote about myself, my background, and I had volunteers. I had people from our organization in Sierra Leone. I asked them for information. I have the United Nations volunteers. I have my publishers. So I put everything together and I sent different scripts to everybody, and I asked them, can you read and help me to edit? And they all start. They were so excited.
Okay.
And when we finished, we have to read the whole script again. And I was like, okay, now we're fine. We're good. So it was challenging for me, because I was thinking, how am I gonna structure this book for it to look more authentic?
Sure.
So I have to talk to one of my friends to write a forward page who have worked with me. It was my pastor anyway. So it was the forward page. So he was so excited. And that's how we did the book.
How long did it take to write? Or did it take a long time? Or?
I think I started during the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, that's where all the challenges started.
Yes.
I have to reinvent myself.
No,
so it was really when we're at home in that period, we're not going out, we're not doing anything. So that's the best time for me. I was writing a lot, so I had that free time.
Okay.
So so when we got back, then I just had to do a few bits and pieces, and then that was it.
Okay. And do you have any tips, from your experience of writing your first book, to anyone else who's thinking, writing a book, they want to write a book? Any tips from your experience?
Okay. My first tip is ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
That's one thing. And sometimes we're afraid of asking questions. Ask for help. We're afraid of asking help. I came to you several times. I will say, oh, Nick, can you help me, please? I need this help. Oh, can you help me read this? Can you help me look at it? So we have to ask for help. We have to ask questions. We have to go train ourselves. I went on a lot of webinar training about writing books, how to write the books in section, what section for each chapter has got a subsection, and those subsection, which topic you have to put in there and make it more authentic. So I have to learn so much about. Yeah.
Oh, great tips. So ask questions, ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and do any training you need to give you the skills. That's three very, very, very useful, very relevant tips there for anyone who can write in their first book.
And I'm learning about marketing now. How to market.
Wow. Do you enjoy learning? Do you enjoy learning new things, new skills?
I did enjoy, but because it was new to me, so sometimes I'm like, wow, okay, how do I do this? I have to look at things from a different angle, whereas sometimes people just look at it straight. So I have to look at it from different points. Okay, which one works best for me? How can I help myself? Because working with challenging children after work, when I come home, I have to sit down and write as well. And there are people waiting for information from me. And sometimes I'll tell them, please don't talk to me. My brain is not working now until weekend. If I write, I'm going to write rubbish. So they were very helpful anyway. So weekend, that was it.
I admire you because it's, I think it's takes a lot of discipline, to come from a job, which is obviously can be very demanding like yours, and then come back and have these other things you need to work on. So I do admire anyone who has to juggle those balls often of family, work, and perhaps a business or writing a book. So yeah, it is hard, but obviously it's not putting you off because you've got another one planned. So yeah, it's interesting about the learning new skills, because I love learning. I'm always doing like an online course to pick up my skills, and I see it sort of brain training in that way that sort of studying keeps my brain, I like to think, active.
I think it's the brain. We have to learn how to train our brain. We have to learn how to read. In our culture, a lot of children don't read, so we have started doing journal reading and writing. So which I think is to train the young minds, their brain, so they'll be able to read and empower themselves by reading, and be able to speak and be able to write and build their confidence. So we're working on that.
And that's just to ask a quick question about the confidence thing, because I think one of the best things you can give certainly your children is confidence. I've got a 6-year-old son, and the one thing I try and give him is confidence, and I think that's often that lacking that confidence, whether it's children or adults, is the thing that holds you back. Is that something you built you in your approach, and do you think that's something that's really important to try and look at ways of giving children confidence?
I think it's very important to build the confidence, like what you're saying, in anybody, whether it's child or adult. And I give you an example. My son, when he started working, he was very terrified the first time. And he was like, oh, there are a lot of old people. All of them are old. I said, no. Don't look at their age. Look at what you're going to learn. You need to focus and you need to study your job. Study your job, and you need to speak with confidence, ask questions, because most people are afraid of asking questions. You can only get help and support when you ask questions, rather than you do something or you mess something up. It's best for you to ask questions. I grew up in an environment where I have that opportunity, because in my culture, the children are not allowed to ask questions, they're not allowed to speak. Just listen to the adult. But in my father's house, we ask questions. I used to ask my dad so much question that he hold his head. So
yeah, I think asking questions is a great always tip, because when you're in at an event or with other people, and sometimes you can't think of anything to say, and you feel that pressure of I should be saying something, should be joining in, and asking questions is one of the best ways of engaging with people, because it shows an interest, and people like people take an interest in them. So if you ask questions, you're finding out about the person you're talking to, but also creating a bit of rapport, and it takes it off you. So rather than sort of you feeling you have to talk about yourself or talk about what you're doing, asking questions the other person. So I think that's a great.
And that's where the confidence build up, because when you know your stuff, when you know so much about what you're talking about, it builds your confidence. But if you don't read or you don't ask questions, you don't understand. That's where a lot of children or adults even are worried about, oh, I am afraid to ask the wrong question or say something, because you don't have the confidence. So So I am a strong believer in building confidence, especially again in women. In our culture, women don't have that power, in a sense where they don't give them that space to talk or to express themselves. And they are very disrespected by the men, because the woman is supposed to keep quiet and the men should speak and do everything. But I don't entertain that. I tell them, no, I'm a human being first. Forget my gender. I'm a human being. So this is me. I'm allowed to speak and express myself. So
I think if you do, I think I admire you. I think if people like you don't challenge it, then nothing will change. You know, it takes, you know, it starts with one person, you know, starting that sort of, you know, that sort of process of change, you know, and take, you know, often, we accept things even if we know that they're not, you know, they're not quite right. And so that's interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you are someone who stands up and says things need to change. So Bernice, it's been great chatting to you, and you know, I could chat to you for a long time, but we'll have to get you back when your next book's out. We can talk about that.
okay, thanks.
So it's been great chatting to you. Thanks for coming on the show. Any last words? Is there anything, final words you want to say?
We are all here in this world to serve each other, direct or indirectly. And I believe we all have visions and dreams and talents. So I'm encouraging you as an individual watching this program, go after your dreams, go after your God-given talent, go and do it. It doesn't matter what age you are. You can make it. Like I said, you have to be an attractive person. You have to develop yourself with your right skills, so you'll be able to attract the right people out there. Don't worry about what people say about you, what they think, what they feel. It's your dream, it's your talent. Who knows? I'm thinking of going into another country very soon to go and work with the children there. So once I finish Sierra Leone, I'm off to another country.
Wow,
so
exciting.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. I just keep going.
I love it. That's a great way to finish an interview with a real motivating, inspiring message. So yes, Bernice's book, Gale's Change, is on Amazon, and do check out the website of the World Changing Centre charity, www.worldchangingcentre.org, and have a look at what they do and ways you can help them. So this is Sigmund's TV. I interview people who I think have a powerful story to tell or message to share. Perhaps people who are making a difference. They're passionate about something and they're influencing others. So do subscribe to my channel. Do subscribe to get notifications of more interviews coming soon. Thank you, Bernice. It was great to speak to you. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
You too. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for having me.